Hello and welcome back. They've aged right alongside me, and I've cheered for them, cried for them, and sometimes even argued with my husband about what they should do next. So when the latest twist started unfolding earlier this year, especially with Jason being hauled off by the WSB after that chaotic scene on the pier, I found myself glued to the screen more than ever, counting the days until his return. And now, with Steve Burton heading back to filming this June, and Jason expected to step foot in Port Charles again by late July or early August, I can already feel the electricity building. This isn't just another comeback. It's shaping up to be one of those rare, explosive moments that reminds us why we keep coming back week after week. What strikes me most about Jason's current situation is how the writers have carefully adjusted the storyline to make his homecoming feel truly monumental, almost as if they knew we fans needed something big to shake up the canvas after everything that's happened. We've watched him get arrested for supposedly shooting that WSB director Cullum, but deep down, I suspect there's more to it than meets the eye, just like so many of the half-truths and cover-ups that have defined his life over the decades. He was ready to slip away quietly with Britt, to give her the fresh start she deserved after all their shared history, but duty called him back one last time to protect his son Danny at that basketball game. That choice said everything about the man Jason has become. It's not the reckless enforcer from years ago who would vanish without a second thought. This is a father who's learned the hard way that running doesn't solve the ache of absence. And while he sits in that undisclosed prison somewhere in Europe, the ripples are hitting everyone back home. Danny has been struggling mightily since losing his mother Sam, and even though Alexis has stepped up with all the love and guidance a grandmother can offer, that boy needs his dad. I've seen too many young characters on this show grow up without a steady parent, and it never ends well. Danny's already showing signs of that same restless spirit his father had at his age, and I worry that without Jason's steady hand, he might drift toward the very dangers his dad has tried so hard to shield him from. But here's where the excitement really kicks in for me. Jason's return isn't going to be a quiet family reunion with a hug and a fade to black. The show has clearly made some smart compromises in the plotting to ensure this moment lands like a thunderclap, positioning him squarely as the new central figure around which so much of Port Charles will revolve. We've seen hints of lingering threats from figures like Sidwell and those old mob entanglements that never truly die out. Jason won't just walk back in and settle into a peaceful routine. The writers are setting up fresh layers of conflict that feel both familiar and brand new. I love how they're weaving in his need to finally prioritize being a better father while still giving us the edge-of-your-seat action we've come to expect. In my opinion, and I've debated this with fellow longtime viewers and online groups, this marks a real evolution from the old days, when Jason's stories were almost entirely about loyalty to the organization and dodging bullets. Back then, his personal life always took a back seat, and it left me frustrated more than once. Now, it seems the show is striking a healthier balance, letting him fight for something deeper, something that matters beyond the next shipment or the next rival. That shift feels earned after everything he's endured, and it makes his impending arrival feel urgent and alive. One thing I'm particularly thrilled about is the way this return is opening the door for Jason to explore a real, meaningful romance again. It's been far too long since he's had a partner who truly sees him for the man he is today, not just the stone-cold protector of the past. His connection with Britt had such beautiful sparks in the beginning, full of that fiery chemistry that made their scenes crackle. But life pulled them in different directions, and the recent distance has left things feeling a bit unresolved. I keep wondering if they'll pick up right where they left off, or if the writers have something even better in store. Maybe a new love interest who challenges him in ways we haven't seen before. Either way, I'm convinced this storyline is going to explode in the best possible sense. Jason deserves someone who can stand beside him through the chaos without getting swallowed by it, and I have a strong feeling the show is preparing to deliver exactly that. I've always believed that a good romance on General Hospital isn't just about the kisses and the drama. It's about two people helping each other grow. If Jason comes back ready to build something stable while still handling the threats that follow him, it could redefine his character in a way that feels fresh and hopeful, especially for those of us who have watched him sacrifice happiness time and again. And then there's the action side of things, which I know will keep the pace breathless once he's back. The dangers from Cullum's people and Sidwell's ongoing schemes aren't going to vanish just because Jason walks through the door. In fact, his presence might ignite them even more, drawing everyone into a web of alliances and betrayals that could touch half the town. I've seen this pattern before in storylines from the 90s and early 2000s, where one man's return shifted the entire power structure, but this time it feels more personal. The compromises the writers have made, perhaps shortening some other arcs or delaying certain payoffs, are all in service of making Jason the beating heart of the show again. It's a bold move, and one I applaud because it honors the character's history while giving him room to breathe and change. Will he be able to reduce the risks in his life enough to be the father Danny desperately needs? I think yes, but not without some hard choices and a few close calls that will have us all on the edge of our seat. That's the beauty of General Hospital. It never lets you relax for long, yet it always circles back to the emotional core that keeps us invested. As I sit here reflecting on all this, I can't help but smile at how the show continues to surprise me even after all these years. Jason's time away has given the supporting players like Alexis and Britt space to shine, and Danny's growth has been heartbreakingly real. But the anticipation for his return is building into something truly special, a storyline that promises new romance, renewed purpose, and the kind of high-stakes drama that makes Tuesday and Thursday afternoons feel like events. I find myself wondering what the first conversation between Jason and his son will be like, or how Britt will react when he steps back into her world. Whatever happens, I know it will be handled with the care this show is known for, blending tenderness with tension in that perfect soap opera way. If there's one thing I've learned from 4 decades of watching, it's that Port Charles always finds a way to heal and move forward, even after the darkest moments. Jason coming home is going to light a fire under the whole canvas, and I'm here for every single minute of it. The summer ahead looks brighter already, full of possibilities and that familiar rush of excitement that only General Hospital can deliver. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds, and I suspect many of you feel the same warm anticipation in your hearts. Sonny has been the heartbeat of so many stories for so long. He's the man who built empires, protected his loved ones with everything he had, and carried the weight of Port Charles on his shoulders through more crises than I can count. But lately, I've noticed the storylines hinting that his time here might be wrapping up in a way that feels natural, maybe a well-earned exit that lets him chase some peace after years of chaos. I've seen longtime characters come and go before, and when they do it right, it opens doors for everyone else. That's exactly what's happening now. With Sonny stepping back, the spotlight is swinging straight toward Jason, and suddenly he isn't just returning as the reliable enforcer we all know. He's stepping into the role of the most important figure in town, the one everyone will turn to, the one whose choices will ripple through every family and every corner of Port Charles. I love how the show has made some smart adjustments to the plotting to make sure Jason's homecoming lands with real explosive force. They've shortened a few side arcs, delayed some payoffs, and woven his return right into the center of the action so it doesn't feel like just another cameo. Instead, it's becoming the new engine driving everything forward. Jason has always been steady and loyal, but now he's going to carry the emotional and dramatic weight that Sonny once did. That means new layers of conflict, new alliances forming, and yes, new dangers that will have us leaning forward in our chairs. I've always believed Jason deserved more than endless shootouts and narrow escapes, and it looks like the writers agree. They're giving him room to become the central pillar, the man who holds the town together while still fighting to keep his own life from falling apart. What really has me smiling is the way this shift is opening the door for Jason to finally get a romance that feels deep and real again. It's been too long since he's had someone who sees past the stone-cold reputation to the man who's learned from every mistake. Whether it's rekindling something meaningful with Britt or discovering a brand new connection that surprises us all, I can already feel the sparks building. The writers aren't rushing it, which is smart. They're letting the chemistry simmer, so when it ignites, it will feel earned and exciting. At the same time, they're layering in fresh fighting storylines that feel bigger and more personal than before. The threats from old rivals aren't vanishing just because Sunny is leaving. If anything, they're shifting toward Jason, pulling him into the center of new power struggles that will test his growth as a father and as a man. Danny needs his dad more than ever, and I think Jason returning as the town's new anchor will give him the chance to be the steady presence that boy has been missing. Alexis has done her best, but there's nothing like a father's guidance, especially when a young man is trying to figure out who he is. I've watched too many kids on this show grow up without that anchor, and it never ends well. Jason coming back stronger, more centered, and ready to put family first feels like the right kind of evolution. The compromises the writers have made, trimming some stories to make room for this new center of gravity, show they really care about giving us something special this summer.